Our last Hawaiian value for today is the word ʻOhana. Can you say that, ʻOhana?
ʻOhana.
ʻOhana means family. This is a story, a true story about a young boy named Kenji. Kenji came from a fairly wealthy home, and he had a younger sister, and he had a sneaking hunch that his family loved his sister more than him. The reason was, every morning she got to ride in the car to go to school, and he had to catch the bus, the public bus. And he had an attitude too. He thought he was better than everyone else. And when he got on the bus, he looked down at the kids in the public schools that weren't as well dressed as him, and all the working people with their sack lunches. He thought he was better than them, and he would just snub them. Well, at one particular stop, there was a middle-aged Japanese lady that would get onto the bus, and she was crippled, and so she used an old bamboo umbrella as a cane. And she would take so long struggling up the stairs of the bus. But as if that wasn't enough, whenever she passed him, she would always pause and smile at him. And this just infuriated Kenji so much. Well, the boys on the bus didn't like Kenji very much because they knew he had such an attitude. And one day they decided that when he got off the bus at the end of the day, they were going to get off too, and they were going to beat him up. Well, Kenji kind of got wind of this, and that night he went home and he begged his parents, please, please, let me ride to school and come back on the car. But they said, absolutely not. And so sure enough, just as Kenji had thought, the day came as he got off the bus. All of the other rough boys from Kalihi Valley got off the bus too. And one of them pushed him from behind, and his books fell into the dirt. And another boy, the biggest and the toughest looking boy, came toward him with his fists clenched, and Kenji knew that was it for him. They had not noticed that the bus had not pulled away until a hard bamboo umbrella came down hard on one of the boys' heads. Boom! And it was pushed into the stomach of another boy. And the woman on the bus let out a blood-curdling scream, and they scattered like leaves in the wind. Well, Kenji was in shock. He didn't know what to say. He didn't even say thank you. He was in such shock. And she turned, and the woman struggled back up the steps of the bus. The doors closed, and the bus drove away. Well, from that day on, Kenji had a new respect for this woman on the bus, and he thought she must be the daughter of a brave samurai warrior or something. And so he started to write stories about her, that maybe she was, this person. And he soon found a dignity in the other people who were riding the bus. And as he wrote these stories about them, it led him to his life's work, which was writing. When he went to the University of Hawaii years later, his route changed and he never saw her again. And years later, his parents died and left him and his sister an interesting letter, especially for him, in the safety deposit box. This letter was written by a woman who had emigrated to Hawaii from Japan. And in this letter, she gave them her only child, who was a son. I was good. And this son was given to this family because she was crippled. And her only wish was that he ride the bus to school every day so he would learn humility and she could watch him grow up. I always cry on this. We are ʻOhana. ʻOhana is something very important. For all of us here, we're family. No matter what your family does, you still love them. You may not like what they do sometimes, but you still love them no matter what. And so this is the way it is with our family, with all of you. We love you. You are a part of our ʻOhana. And some families we are born into, some families are like Lomilomi families. You'll always be connected. We always come back again and again because we have a sense of ʻOhana. And this home is it's our home. And we are so happy to be here with all of you. ʻOhana in Hawaii, there's such a thing as hanai. You know what hanai is? Hanai is adopted into a family. And this is a family that may not even be related to you, but you connect with them because you have a sense of family. In Hawaii, I have a cousin who could not have children. And her sister, who had just recently been divorced and was pregnant with another child, gave that child to her sister. And that child looked more like her adopted mother than her real mother. It was really interesting. So it is with family. You will find your ʻOhana along the way. It can be here, it can be where you work, it could be your neighbors. But don't forget this sense of ʻOhana. Love them, care for them, try to overlook all the faults. We're going to find sometime we'll be angry. But the saying is, treat your guests like ʻOhana and treat your ʻOhana like guests. And that way it kind of keeps the balance. ʻOhana is family.